You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the NFL with AJL, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 13 is alive and well. We are locked and loaded on a Friday evening, a little bit after 7, but you know what time we get started here on the East Coast. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but I appreciate y'all, as always, jumping in the show. We got a guest tonight. You know we love bringing them on the show, but before we introduce them, please like the stream wherever you're at. Subscribe on YouTube, which y'all have really been killing that for me lately. And also hit the bell so you never miss a post on YouTube as well. You see the QR code over the Breeze jersey as always. No, I'm not attracting you to the jersey because I'm a Saints fan. I want you to get at me on social media. Scan that code. If you can't, at the NFL with AJL on all social media platforms. Make sure you leave us a review on podcast platforms. And if you can't find me, you're simply not looking hard enough. We got a true OG in the studio tonight. Going to be bringing him in. If you guys have watched me from the What Off season days all the way to now, you know Jansen Harris, CEO of the Just Good Network. Jansen, what's good, man? So good to have you on the show.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Look, man, I'm happy to be here. Trey Young, baby, let's get it. ATL. But I'm happy, man. I'm glad to be on it. Everything's looking good. I'm nice and loud as always, man. Let's get it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I chose the right guy to start breaking down the NFL draft, and I'm not going to waste anyone's time anymore. We've got the introduction. Now let's get to it. The best linebackers in the 2023 NFL draft. Y'all see at the top as well. Get in the chat. Let us know if the video is good. Let us know if the audio is good. Jansen, so I didn't kind of clear it up before. We'll do it now. Do you want to do top 3 or top 5?
Look, I got 3 guys, Adam, honestly, that to me, and I don't know if you want me to go. I know we didn't get into it, but to me, that
I'll let you take the way.
All right. Okay.
We'll do top 3.
Standpoint, I got 3 guys I want to break down. Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Agreed.
I like this kid. Why? Because to me, in this past happy league, he could do it all. He could even potentially play safety. Don't think that's going to happen. He has pretty good size, but this guy could zone coverage, man coverage, needs to be able to cover those cover those running backs, cover those tight ends. And when guys come up the middle to catch that ball, he's going to make them pay. I like him. Noah Sewell from Oregon. This kid's 6'2", 250, solid. Look, I'm not saying he's going to be the best overall guy. I'm saying I was focusing on coverage. And we're talking about coverage. Sewell, I think any team that drafts this guy, he's going to be pretty good in coverage. He's going to be reliable. He's going to be able to stay on the field on third down. And that's what you need. That's what's going to be important, Adam, is the guys who can stay for all 3 downs. And if you could do that, you're going to find your way in the field. And my last guy that I like is Jack Campbell from Iowa. Another size guy.
Freak.
6'5", 246. I love these big guys, but the good thing about these dudes, he can move. He's versatile. Great hips, great in coverage. And these 3 guys, I'm telling you, if they're not great in coverage, they're going to have problems. But from what I've seen, from what experts are saying, from the tape, to me, they smell like guys who are going to perform in the next level and cover. Because that's what I want. I'm so tired of these bad secondaries and these linebackers that are stiff.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for the position, man. I mean, you look at the Fred Warners, the Bobby Wagners, guys that have actually had extended time in this league. I mean, I love me a Brian Urlacher. I love me a Luke Kuechly. I love me I think it was AJ Hawk back in the day for the Bengals, you know. So like seeing all these guys and how hard they have to work, not only being heavy hitters back then, but especially in today's NFL. I mean, you let it off perfectly. What a great way to get into it. It is a pass happy league. And, you know, seeing guys that not only have the size, you want to make sure they can shed off those blockers because you're kind of moving into the edge rushers. But hey, you got to be not necessarily on the back end, but you have to be ready for an Alvin Kamara or potentially, you know, a Saquon Barkley to come through the line that can run a route, or they could burn you on the outside. Being that true edge-to-edge type of guy, I'm totally feeling you there. Got an awesome comment here from this Justin Sports Show. Justin, good to see you tonight. Darby wants to know, he's a loyal guy in the chat. We're loyal Saints fans. Jansen, he's not a Falcons fan, actually, Darby. He's a Jets fan. I was going to ask him if he was, but I already know that answer.
Yeah, I'm not a true Falcons guy, but I do cover it. Look, Darby, if you're a Falcons guy, you ought to be proud of yourself.
Oh, no, sir. Who dat nation?
Not? Okay. Hey, look, I will say this about the Saints. And I know I'm a little off topic. I'll say this quickly. I love the signing. I like Carr, man. I like it. I think Carr, best quarterback in that division. Saints fans, you should be happy. Who that?
Yeah. You know, when it happened at first, I wasn't really liking the money, but I'm like, look, these guys are going to get paid. The contract's not going to seem as bad. It was definitely an upgrade. And if we make the right moves around him, you know, I really do feel like we'll be able to I'm not calling for a run, but we'll look a hell of a lot better than we did last year and a lot better than we felt walking into this year before we signed Derek Carr. Let's go ahead and get into these linebackers, though. Man, this is actually, I wouldn't say a loaded linebacker class, but when you look at some of the prospects that are in here, like, I got to be honest with you, I left a linebacker, I think it's Harry Toto is how you pronounce his name, from Alabama. I left him out of here. He's a great guy, but he didn't make my cut. Noah Sewell, I wanted to put him in as well, but I would like to see a little more of him. I know you were mentioning coverage. He's a little blitz heavy for my liking, but he's going to be a dog, no doubt. He's going to get taken and I think have a great NFL career and really just be able to play very well in the league. Number one for me, though, and I think it was your number one as well, Trenton Simpson, no doubt. You got him running a 4.43 in Clemson. It kind of reminds me of those A.J. Terrell days or those Isaiah Simmons days, kind of having that type of build. This guy is someone that they've compared to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I can't remember the college he came out of, but we saw how he went to the Browns. Has had a pretty good career so far. 40.5-inch vertical for a linebacker is definitely nothing to shy away from. You got 68 tackles, 16 pressures. He had an interception, 2 forced fumbles this year. So he's getting in the backfield, making things happen. And this guy's a high-end athlete for his position. Like I was mentioning, 4'4", 340. 40.5-inch vertical, and 6'2", 234 pounds, clearly a young kid at 22 years old. But you look at, he's got a great build and the way that he can move around the line and, yes, be in that coverage, but also get aggressive in that backfield. You heard the numbers that I was talking about as well, and an amazing blitzing upside that you put him in the right package, you rotate him around some, and really alluding back to what you said, Jansen, about these linebackers being very versatile. That's what you look for in the NFL. And I was thinking about it before we got on the show. I'm like, you know what? Micah Parsons really screwed it up for everybody, because when you have a guy that can come to the league, like, I still think Atlanta should have taken him at number 4 all day. I'm not going to sit here and get into that, but seeing what Micah Parsons has done in 2 seasons for the Dallas Cowboys, coming up in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, like that's your standard. That's the guys you want to see. My second guy here, though, is a guy that I had to get into the numbers and dig in on this one, but Daiyan Henley, I think is how you say it. It might be Daiyan Henley out of Washington State. Not really a blazer with the 40 time. He runs a 4.54, but he's got a nice broad jump as well, 33-inch arms, and some people are comparing him to Deion Jones. We remember Debo in Atlanta when Debo really, really having that presence in the linebacker position. This guy's a former wide receiver as well. So he sees the field in a little different way. He's got more of that athleticism, more of just that experience being on the other side of the ball. We're not going to talk about what he was as a receiver, but just being in that position, having that knowledge, definitely going to help him at the linebacker position. Very explosive when he comes downhill as well. And then you've also got a good blitzing upside with this guy as well, but he's got balance. He does have balance within his game. I'd like to see him play a little more a little more proactive and not reactive, and get a little bit better disengaging from some of these blockers. But nonetheless, I got a lot of respect for Henley out of Washington State. And then number 3 was really a toss-up between Jack Campbell. I had Owen Pappoe out of Auburn, and I was also looking at Dorian Williams as well. But Jack Campbell is an absolute monster in this linebacking class.
He's a big boy.
Might have won. Yes, he is massive. I think he might have been your number 1. People are comparing him to a potential Logan Wilson, I believe, that has played for Washington at some point in his career. 37.5-inch vertical. He had a nice 3-cone, nice hands as well in the combine, obviously, when he weighed in. You look at some of his numbers, 15 pressures, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 121 tackles on the season. So he was clearly getting in those roles at Iowa, and he's moving up these draft boards, and I think he's going to be a great pick. You look at the frame, you look at the athleticism, with the numbers that I read off there, the way that he's able really to move through traffic on the offensive line and just really kind of in that secondary part of the field is what makes him so special in the draft. And then you can't shy away from the fact of how he plays in zone coverage as well. It's very, very impressive. And again, like you said, Jansen, something that they absolutely need. He's not going to be a dude that's going to bust through the O-line, be like a disruptor or a penetrator rather, but overall, Jack Campbell, Trenton Simpson, and we've also got Daiyan Henley out of Washington State. I want to check the chat here real quick. Oop, looks like crickets, but nah, not really. We're all good. So that's our linebackers here in the NFL draft. Episode 13 of the NFL with AJL. I've got Jansen Harris here, CEO of the Just Good Network. Now we got to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, man, because as great as they looked, loved this team, was pulling for them in the Super Bowl. I did have the Chiefs winning, although I wanted the Eagles to. They have now lost 9 major pieces. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Lions, Javon Hargrave to the Niners. They lost their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator. They lost Samalo on the offensive line. Jansen, with all of this happening, what do you expect out of the Philadelphia Eagles now that they're coming off a tough Super Bowl loss? They have a big Jalen Hurts payday, which really, really matters now. And everybody was saying that they weren't a lot because of how weak the schedule was. They lose 9 big pieces. What do you expect out of Philly this year?
I expect Philly to at least be a team that wins the NFC East. I think this team is capable of winning the NFC East again. Yes, they lost a lot of pieces. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it doesn't matter. However, they still have a lot of stuff going for them.
Yeah,
they still same head coach, same Jalen Hurts, who's motivated, who now this Eagles organization trusts. You saw the type of Super Bowl he had. I didn't expect him to be that good.
Legendary.
When you
Neither
play
did I.
like that, really, it's a win-win situation. You go into next year, you're the leader, big payday is coming. It's a quarterback league, so at least they don't have quarterback issues. But again, you need pass rushers. You need guys on that D-line, guys on the O-line, defensive coordinator. That stuff matters losing it. However, I think the Eagles are a team that's capable of winning 12 to 13 games next year, and they're going to defend their NFC title. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles do win the NFC, to be honest with you. I know it's way too soon to be making these predictions, but it is what it is. NFL now, it's like a 12-month thing. We talk about this thing every day. So, hey, to me, the Eagles, if they win the NFC again, I wouldn't be surprised. The AFC isn't as strong as the NFC isn't as strong as the AFC. We got to keep that real. Who's gonna challenge them? Who in the NFC right now? Can we sit here and say, oh, well, this team could definitely beat the Eagles? I don't know about that. I don't know. So for me, until some of these teams show me something when they play these games in the regular season, which is a long time from now, Eagles are still the favorites to win the NFC. Jalen Hurts, top 5 quarterback in the league, maybe top 3. Some people are reaching maybe a top 5, top 10 player in the league. Those debates are happening right now. And after that Super Bowl, hey. I mean,
he had a legendary performance. He did.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit of it's a what have you done for me lately league.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
That's life, right? That's how people remember you. What have you done for me lately? When's the last time we communicated? Jalen Hurts has been doing it recently. He's getting those conversations started up.
And remember when he was out for a couple of those games, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything without this guy. Jalen Hurts, here's what I'm going to say, and I'll finish this, and I'll let you go. Jalen Hurts is going to be up for the MVP race. He's going to be up for it. He probably wants to win it. He wants to show everybody it's time to open up that checkbook. It's time to get that guarantee.
Because he's still got doubters even after the Super Bowl. Even after the Super Bowl and the way he played, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. I know Mahomes won. I know Mahomes got Super Bowl MVP. Clearly winning fixes everything. Mahomes could have thrown for 85 yards and people would still be praising him and putting him where they're at. But Jalen Hurts, with the way he played, and for people to still be talking about him the way they are, I don't understand it. Because
haters are going to hate. And look, I'm going to be honest with you.
Any other player that plays like Josh Allen plays like that, Joe Burrow plays like that, Lamar Jackson plays like that, Kyler Murray plays like that, we are unleashing the flower basket for all of them, but they can't do it for Jalen. And it really irks me, so I'm right there with you, bro.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, haters are going to hate. Look, I'll admit to you, Adam, I was a Jalen Hurts hater. I was in group chats like, man, Jalen Hurts isn't going to be that good. People were telling me Jalen Hurts is the next Donovan McNabb. And I was like, there's no way he's the next Donovan McNabb. I watched Donovan McNabb's career, and he was pretty good. I'm not going to say excellent. Wasn't able to win the Super Bowl, but that's a different discussion. But, yeah, Jalen Hurts, man, he shocked me. He shut me up. I'm on his bandwagon now. I'm like, okay, the way he's been playing, I can't hate no more. I can't hate. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts.
Right. Now, hey, don't be sorry to Jalen Hurts. Be sorry to the people that aren't necessarily picking up on him. Yeah, so talking about the expectations for next year. So the NFC East is getting a little crazy, okay? You got Darren Waller with the Giants. Daniel Jones did just get paid. Brian Daboll looked good. The Giants were really impressive, okay? The Giants are one of the teams that really, really shocked me a lot last year. You've got let me get our graphic back up here. There we go. You've got the Cowboys who now have Brandon Cooks, I believe, who is an absolute dog and has been a dog in the NFL for a while. I think he's got 6,000 yard season, so it's absolutely crazy. And the Cowboys just look very good last year. I'm not saying that they're going to be a true NFC contender because I never bought into that last year. We've seen this from Dallas. It's just like with Green Bay. We've seen these teams before be good. Never fool me into being great. And then when they lose in the playoffs, people are like, oh, wow. I'm like, the writing was on the wall the whole time. You just had to see it and really watch this league. for the last few years. And then you look at Washington as well. Like, I'm not saying Washington is going to be a threat, but with the Eagles losing 9 pieces, the Cowboys now having Brandon Cooks and coming off of a good season, I'm not going to expect Dak to take a leap. The Giants just got Darren Waller and were pretty solid last year compared to how they've been in recent years. Rookie head coach Daniel Jones, that was probably not going to get a bag until he played the way he did this year. And then Washington with a smash mouth defense, and they just got Eric Bieniemy. So I'd love to say that the Eagles would win the NFC East. I think they're the second best team. Not the second best team. I think they will finish second for sure. I'd love to say first, but I mean, when you're talking about losing the safety in the NFL, love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I wish the Saints could have worked it out with him, but apparently he's a very expensive guy. And he said when he went to the Lions, I had to do what was right for the family. I'm not going to knock you, bro. You're a multimillionaire. You're a businessman. Do your thing. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who led the league in interceptions, goes to the Lions. Javon Hargrave goes to the Niners. Miles Sanders, which I was a fan of. He is now with the Panthers, I believe. You had TJ Edwards as well. The linebacker gets out. I think we just lost Jansen, but we will grab him back in a little bit. Actually, I think he's there right now. You good, bro? Lost some connection?
Absolutely. And my apologies. I don't know what's going on. And I will tell this to your people out here. I'm not trying to be funny. If you can, get off of T-Mobile. For all the people out here watching the show, do not go on T-Mobile. I've been a loyal customer for at least way too long, but let's go with 6-7 years. Get off T-Mobile. And I hope T-Mobile is a sponsor to Adam.
Man, we're actually sponsored by T-Mobile, bro. So thanks for throwing that. No, I'm kidding.
They're gonna drop the state. I know.
I was about to say they're gonna issue a statement. They're going to issue a statement to us on Twitter, and that's how we're going to figure out that the sponsorship is severed. But no, I could actually hear when it pops out, so I looked and I brought you back in. Sorry, y'all. But anyways, I like Miles Sanders. I really do. I'm not praising him, but people say, oh, he's too inconsistent. You look at his numbers. He produced when he needed to for Philadelphia in multiple years. TJ Edwards goes to the Bears. Samalo off the offensive line. He was a clutch piece on that O-line. Marcus Epps, who's in the secondary. Shane Steichen, who just engineered this offense and worked with Jalen Hurts. And then the DC and Gannon, who, might not be a major loss. He's definitely a bad hire for the Cardinals, but, dealing with those weak offenses. And he was in a good spot, but losing 9 pieces, it's really hard for me to say that they're going to finish first in the division. And now we got to talk about Jalen Hurts' payday, because this was a big thing I was saying. Do not pay Jalen Hurts $50 million. I don't believe Jalen Hurts is going to want $50 million, because we've seen, like, this guy's a leader. He went through a lot at Alabama. He went to Oklahoma. He ran for the Heisman, and he's been such a baller for so long, and we've seen his character reflect as he's played in the game. So I believe he would take a hometown discount. Like, call me crazy. I'm not comparing him to Brady for the talent, but as far as Brady taking a hometown discount, if reports came out and said the Eagles signed Jalen Hurts to a 5-year, $150 million contract, I wouldn't be shocked. That's still 30 M's a year for the quarterback. I know people are going to flip when I post this on social, but Jalen is that type of guy. And now it is very important. Yes, they've let these people go, and maybe it's, there's more of a bag for Jalen, but this is going to be a part of the Eagles that they're going to have to go through, because we've seen them a couple years ago. They win the Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. They had the playoff game against the Saints, have my Saints on the ropes, and then the Saints end up pulling it out. Now they're in the Super Bowl again. So they're getting to be a team that is very prevalent, or not very prevalent, but they're starting to have a case in more postseasons than not. This is going to be a part of it. Just like when the Rams brought Stafford over, they had to go through the Super Bowl hangover. I unfortunately kind of see one for Philadelphia right now. I mean, how do you plug this many holes knowing that Jalen Hurts' payday is coming up? You're about to spend, if he gets paid like the media and the NFL today wants him to get paid, he's going to get paid $250 million easy. He's easily going to sign a $250 million contract. And it'll probably be for 5 years, maybe 6 to make it a little less. So that's really important for them coming up. But I want to check the chat here. I see it going off a little bit. He said, T for terrible. What do you mean? Anyways, we'll get through it. I don't know. Darby's always dropping me some gems there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be tough for them to finish first in the division. And you look at their opponents as well. I think I had it. Where is it at? Yeah, I had it pulled up here. So at home, they have obviously, the division people, the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders. But then they're going to have the Cardinals, Bills, Dolphins, Vikings, and Niners. I think they'll split in the division. So I see them going 3-3, at least in the division. They'll beat the Cardinals. I think they're going to lose to the Bills. They might lose to the Dolphins because they've taken some defensive hits and they've lost some offensive pieces as well. I could see a loss to the Vikings potentially. I could see a loss to the Niners potentially. Like, I hate to look on the schedule like this and see it fall this way for Philadelphia, but you go look on the road, they've got the Chiefs, They've got the Patriots who just signed some people, and Bill Belichick is probably not going to want to play next year like he is now. Not saying they're going to be a powerhouse. They've got the Rams, which that's probably a win there. They got the Jets who were trying to load up. The Seahawks played good last year, and I'm not going to really count on it with the Bucs, but who knows what they could be, right? So it's not looking super attractive for Philadelphia right about now, considering the schedule, who they lost, and the payday coming up. But how important, before we move off of this, T-Mobile, T for terrible, I see it now. How important do you think Jalen Hurts' payday is with the Eagles now that they've lost 9 key pieces after coming off being the best team in the NFL?
I agree with you 100%. I think Jalen Hurts is that type of player that will take a cap-friendly deal. I don't know what those figures are going to come out to. And to be honest with you, I will say this about the NFL. They're inconsistent when it comes to the salary cap thing. Do they have the money? Do they not? Was this the dead cap? Sometimes that's confusing. We need to bring in some of these general managers, and some of them do a great job at manipulating the numbers, and I give them that, and then they feed it off to the media and Shefty, and boom, it happens. But I do think he'll take a team-friendly deal. We have to look at that draft, Adam, and say, how well can the Eagles draft? What I would be interested in watching is what they do in that third round, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. What young guys are the Eagles going to get that helps plug in and wants to be a part of a winning culture? So to me, the Eagles need to draft well because that schedule – we're going to find out. Those are a lot of those 4:45 games, those primetime games, those Monday Night Football games. The Eagles are going to be on TV a lot. They're not going to be a ticket team. They're going to be a team that we're going to see if they're for real again. I can't wait for a matchup against the Chiefs in the rematch. Jets, Seattle, a lot of big games, a lot of big boy games, and I can't wait for it. But what the development of these young guys, and that's what the great teams
That's what it's going to be. Yep. That's exactly what the great teams do. You see the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, 7th-round running back. Dude's making plays. They trade for Kadarius Toney, who I wasn't high on, but dude makes a hell of a play in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And my final point on this is just guys in general in the draft. This is why, actually, let's say this. Life in general, right? Usually, and I'm not even trying to be a funny guy, usually the guys who can fight be the short guys. I'm not worried about the giant, the tall guy who maybe he's getting all the girls, or, oh, man, he's this and that. It be them little guys, man, hit you with that damn power. Just like in the draft.
You ain't lying.
And here's my point. Just like in the draft, sometimes these guys, he don't run a 4 this, or he's not the longest guy in the world. He's not. Those guys small guys
who get doubted because of their size and their speed and their frame.
People are at the club, they're in the gym at 1:15 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's those guys. Can the Eagles grab those 1:15 in the morning guys? If they can do that, then I'm telling you, and you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. I mean, you look at the fact that, like, Tyreek Hill was a late-round pick. I mean, clearly we look at Brady, who's an anomaly, but he was a late-round pick. Isaiah Pacheco, late-round pick. DK Metcalf, I think, was a 2nd or 3rd-round pick, and look how he's played. People might not be crazy on him, but getting those day 2, day 3 guys is very essential because that's when you figure out, okay, can my scouts see past the top 32, the top 64, the top 90-something, top 100 players on the board? Like, that's where your depth really comes in. So I'm 100% right there with you, man. But it's definitely so important. And before we get off of this, I mean, just again, the Eagles' schedule. So at home, they have the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders. I think they're going to split in the division, considering the pieces they've lost now. I know they've still got Hurts. I know they still got Brown. I know they still got Smitty. But what really worries me is when you clean house with coordinators, that's an adjustment period. Because now they're supposed to have their quarterbacks coach, who I have all the respect in the world for a QB's coach. Is he really going to be able to step up and design overall plays for, your 11 guys on offense? That's kind of a worry for me, and then you have your defensive coordinator who now clearly with the schedule this year, it's going to be tougher. Now you're going to have a different DC. I can't remember where the defensive coordinator is actually coming from, but so you have the division. Cardinals not worried about, but Bills, Dolphins, Vikings, Niners. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. I think that the Bills would win. I'm kind of shaky on the Dolphins right now with Tua, but we know the firepower they have. We know the moves that they're making. I know they just lost Gesicki. The Vikings were clearly good last year. Now it could just been an instance of, now they're getting coached better, winning all their one-score games. The Niners are clearly the Niners. You look at the road schedule: Chiefs, Rams, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Bucks. The only for sure win I see on that schedule right there, outside of those divisional games on the road, is the Rams and the Bucks. The Patriots, I feel like, are going to come to play next year. They just signed a good bit of players, and it's a smart franchise. They're going to eventually rebound, and I think that's coming this year, realistically. You look at the Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. The Jets got a lot of players over there, and you said it, Jansen, it feels like you guys won the offseason Super Bowl, and the Seahawks played well last year. So, I mean, if we're maybe looking at 8 to 10 wins for Philadelphia as of today, before the draft, before the NFL season actually starts, it's kind of scary. Kind of scary to say the least, but it's been a great show so far, man. We're about 25 minutes in. Guys, as always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Darby says Vikings are a trap team. They won a lot of games, but they were all close calls. Yeah, because you look at the year before, I think they had 7 one-score games and went like 2-5. I think literally this year they flipped that around and went 5-2. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we always say, this is the NFL with AJL episode 13. I've got Jansen Harris in studio tonight, CEO of the Just Good Network. You can check him out. It's at the ticker at the bottom, at Jansen_Harris, at Just Good Network. He does worldwide broadcasting work. If you're anywhere in the world watching right now and you really want to get into the game, this is your guy. Excuse me, let me point at you right there. That's your guy to hit up. He'll definitely take you to some great knowledge and experience in the game. As always, please like the stream, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell so you never miss a post, and you see the QR code as well. Scan that for every bit of content. If you can't, at the NFL with AJL on all social platforms. Please leave us a review on podcast platforms as well. And guys, as always, we're sponsored by Buy and Sell with AJL for all your worldwide professional real estate needs. Make sure to hit them up whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, invest in real estate. Make sure to hit them up at Buy and Sell with AJL on social media. Get on their monthly newsletter that they send out. A lot of great information in there that actually keep you in front of the headlines that say it might be a terrible time to buy or sell right now. And they also just put some AI into their business as well. If you want to know how to find an exact value of a home, how fast it could sell, how much competition's in the area, make sure to drop your email. Make sure to drop your address or a address for a home that you want to keep up with. That one felt pretty smooth for the ad read, man. Sometimes it's like, am I going to get tripped up? Never know. But hey, we're good. And now we are going to move on into Cam Newton, who threw at Auburn's pro day. And this was interesting to me because Cam Newton, I think the reason I put this on the schedule is because Cam Newton said, ain't no 32 guys better than me. And I like to be mostly family friendly on this show. I don't think I've dropped any F-bombs yet. And it might come eventually in the future, but we try to be respectful. So Cam said there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him. Why are all these randoms getting jobs? So let's ask the question, Jansen, can Cam Newton actually still play in the NFL being about 12 years removed from the number 1 overall draft pick?
Well, Cam Newton, he was a guy I really was hating on a lot when he was with the Patriots. I thought Cam Newton was at best. Some people pointed to what he was able to do with his legs. Some people pointed to, hey, he didn't get enough time. There was no weapons there. But I didn't think Cam Newton looked good. However, I'm a little surprised that teams aren't taking a chance on Cam Newton. There's always injuries. There's always quarterbacks getting benched. I agree with Cam. Cam Newton, I'm not saying he's going to be all world as a top 15 quarterback, but definitely in this league, he could definitely be the 28th guy, 29th, 30th best quarterback in the league. And that's not a knock. Hey, go get your paper. That quarterback money's looking good. That backup money's looking good. I
remember Brock Osweiler. Dude made like $70 million as a backup in his career.
And this is what I like about Cam. First of all, on a selfish note, I'm kind of feeling Cam's show. I kind of like the Funky Friday thing. At first, I was like, but then I started watching a couple episodes. I'm like, oh, this is kind of dope. I kind of like it. Cam got a little cigar. He's doing his thing. Looks happy. But this is smart what Cam's doing, Adam, because he's looking at it like, look, if I could just say this statement, it's in the news, people know me. Hey, I feel like on the low, he's cool with backup money. If he can get 8 to 10 mil backup money, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Just to hold that clipboard. And then you might get in if there's an injury. I think Cam Newton is just trying to work his way back in the league. It is a little disgusting that he doesn't have a job, but I think it's a smart move by Cam. Kudos to him. Because I think he will get a job. Now, will he be able to be an effective starter in this league? Can he last 8 games, 9 games? I don't know about that.
That's the problem.
But he can still get some money. He can make some money.
Yeah, and I'm a Cam Newton fan as well. I hated to see how his career played out, but you want to talk about, he had a throw at pro day. He scrambled out of the pocket, 50-yard dot to his brother, Kalen Newton, down the field. And that was a big reason he also did this. His brother said, I was very grateful he did this. It was very selfless. Cam didn't have to. And like you said as well, Jansen, like, hey, he's being smart. He's going out there to get that backup money. Unfortunately, I can't say any NFL team or even me would sign Cam Newton to an actual $8 to $10 million chunk of my salary cap. Maybe if he's willing to come in on a $2 to $3 million deal, because that's how teams are going to look at him. I mean, let's be real. He goes, I'm back, and then goes 0-5 as a starter and looks absolutely horrible. Now, I get it. He had just come out of the free agency, or, he was cut by the Patriots. The Panthers were trying on a wing and a prayer. They were trying anything at that point in their season. Cam had been the number 1 draft pick to them before. It was kind of like with Aaron Rodgers moving. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of things tied up in it. There was a lot of emotion and things tied up in it when Cam Newton was coming back to Carolina. So I'm not going to hold that as a standard of, last time he was in the league, he was bad. But even with the limited things they were asking him to do, and I get it, he went 0-5 as a starter. That's kind of on Carolina for putting him in there. Maybe that's on Cam for saying I got it more than I really do. But my eyes aren't going to lie to me. This is a league where you have to analyze guys for play on their field. Cam didn't look good. Now, let's not forget the MVP season, because I know people are going to be coming for my throat about it. The MVP season from Cam Newton was really one of the best seasons I've ever seen from a quarterback. The way he was killing it on the ground, the way he was throwing the ball through the air, the way he was 15-1 with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, it was truly a showcase, and we thought Cam Newton had finally arrived. 4 or 5 years removed from the first overall draft pick. Panthers are getting it together. They weren't necessarily the cleanest ran team. Ron Rivera feels like he's finally completed the rebuild. And then people say that Von Miller stripped the soul out of him when he had the strip sack in the Super Bowl, and Cam was just never the same. And maybe that's the case, right? Maybe that's actually the case with him. But I don't think, rather, I know Cam Newton cannot still play in the NFL. He can maybe be a backup. He could maybe jump in for a start or two, but I just don't see, unless you're really, really, really on the precipice of just not having a good quarterback decision, do you call on Cam Newton? Because it's just, it hasn't been pretty. It hasn't been pretty realistically for most of his career outside of the MVP season, and it definitely wasn't pretty towards it. And I will give it to him. When he was with New England and New England picked him up, New England didn't look bad. Cam Newton was still running into the end zone. I think Cam Newton had 14 rushing touchdowns that year. So it's pretty solid. But Cam Newton's got 194 touchdown passes and 123 interceptions in his career. Cam Newton threw for 35 touchdowns once in his career. That was the MVP season. Outside of that, he never threw for more than 25. I understand he's a threat on the ground, but are we not kind of seeing the same thing with Lamar Jackson now? We know what he can do on the ground. And luckily, Lamar has a better completion percentage than Cam Newton, but Lamar still can't greatly throw the football, just like Cam Newton can never greatly throw the football. Just because you got a deep ball and you can chuck it 70 yards downfield, you look at Cam Newton's completion percentage for his career. In his 10 years in Carolina, even if you remove the one, it's still sub 65%. He has a 59.9% completion percentage for his career. NFL quarterbacks should be at least completing 65% of their passes. I might be nice and go 63.
Especially
but you cannot be exactly, especially in this day and age. So, I like you, Cam. I love what you're doing. I love that you're there for Kalen. I love that you are pouring into these guys at Auburn.
Respect
I love that you went back to your alma mater and you're throwing at the pro day. I love that you're doing all that. But to be so bold and say there's not 32 people better than me, with the way the talent is in the league, man, there is. Now, there might not be a lot of backups better than you, or maybe how many ever number you want to throw out there of backups better than you. It wasn't pretty last time he got on the field. Most of his career was average. I mean, Cam Newton only threw for 4,000 yards once in his career, and that's when he was a rookie. And it was still 21 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. MVP season, 3,800 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 picks. That was by far Cam's best year, because the next year it's 19 touchdowns, 14 picks. Next year it's 22 touchdowns, 16 picks, and sub 4,000 yards for his entire NFL career outside of his rookie year. So comparing that with what we need in today's NFL, and I'm not over here saying, the way he played back then is not going to work now. No, it's a summation of the 11 years that we've seen Cam Newton in the league and what he has shown us so far. Now, do you think any teams realistically, Jansen? My answer is going to be no. If you had a team to take a chance on Cam Newton, tell me about him.
Man, that's a great question. I don't know.
If not, it's okay, because Cam's a tough situation. I know. Cam's a tough situation, bro. I mean,
the
Texans are about to draft a quarterback. The Panthers are you know what I mean? The Texans are up there. The Panthers are up there. The Raiders might be looking for somebody.
Okay, maybe he can't be a starter. All I'm saying is Cam, and the only thing he messed up about this, Adam, is this. He should have said, look, this is the reason why I think there's not 32 guys better than me. Tune in, Funky Friday, and I'll say the rest.
Right.
That's what he really should have done. So there was a mistake right there. But I think Cam knows what he's doing. I think Cam Newton really feels like he could get a job. He just wants to be in the league.
Yeah.
Cam just wants to be in the league. He doesn't want to come out and be desperate and say that. So he has to say these hot takes. So, hey, you got to get your confidence up somehow. He was feeling good. Him and his brother were bonding. He was at Auburn. The whole media was talking about it. I think the only mistake Cam made with this, and I sound funny, but I'm being serious, was not plugging in on the show. I'm going to tell you why and break it down. Cam, if you somehow see a clip on a short and you have to click on it because you're in your mood or whatever, or it's 2 a.m., look, you need to explain to us which teams should give you an opportunity. Why not?
Right.
You're not in the league in the NFL where it's all strict. You can't say anything. You're out the league. Buddy, tell us who he needs to break this down. Come on, Adam's show. Break this down, Cam. because I can't defend you 100%.
Right.
Adam can't defend you. So if you don't want to come on the show, then on your show, tell us what would be the best fit for you, the best coaches for you. That's what I really want to know. And I'm being serious.
Yeah, and Cam is very exciting. Like I said, he's a very, very exciting player. But and you talk about, he doesn't want to come out and be desperate and say that he wants to be in the NFL. Hell, Jansen, I wish he would have just said, I really miss the league and I want someone to sign me. Because knowing how he played in his career and saying, ain't no 32 MFers better than me, why all these randoms getting jobs? Come on, Cam. Like, to me, that feels like desperation because you have to go out on a limb and say that. Like, that's not even a hot take. That's not true. There are 32 people in the league better than you that have starting jobs right now. I'm not going to give it too much more of my time, but I did think it was interesting that he was going to go throw at the pro day. I mean, I think he looked good, but I'm not getting hype on anyone's pro day. Okay, I don't care if it was Saquon Barkley's or I don't care if it was Joe Burrow's. Zach Wilson's pro day looked awesome.
Amazing in shorts.
Exactly. Everybody looks amazing in shorts and throwing against air in your own stadium, more than likely, where all your friends and family are watching you, not mostly NFL scouts in the entire world at the combine or even in preseason or in the actual early games of your career, but let's actually talk about something that's really going to take more just excitement to get into. Deandre Hopkins trades are heating up, and it is absolutely disgusting that he is being shopped for a 5th round pick right now. I just think that shows that the Cardinals are clearly wanting to move off of him. They're not going to have Kyler for a good part of next year. Maybe they're accepting that they're going to just have to make some moves and just kind of some interesting decisions between now and when Kyler does come back. And unfortunately, DeAndre Hopkins will be one of those people. So the Raiders, the Ravens, who just signed Nelson Aguilar, which is a yawn, the Patriots, the Bills, and the own Atlanta Falcons are now in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. Give me the best landing spot out of these teams, or maybe another one you might have, Jansen, for DeAndre Hopkins as these stories unfold.
Bills and Ravens. Let me get on the Ravens first. They always make me sick.
They should not do a damn thing until they sign Lamar Jackson. I think it's Lamar's fault, but
first of all, the Ravens need to pay Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
they need to get that situated. I don't know how much he's asking for. I don't know about his business with that, but they got to get on the same page. I would love to see him back when Lamar Jackson's at his peak. And just to me, and I know this isn't a Lamar Jackson thing, but I'll say this. I wasn't a Lamar Jackson hater, but sometimes I don't like these swag guys. So the guys who run around and ESPN.
It just doesn't work, man.
But I will say this. Because it's a business about ratings and excitement. I'm not gonna lie. Lamar Jackson's MVP year.
It was electric.
I was tuning into every single game.
It was electric, Bo. It was better than Cam Newton's. It wasn't even close. I know Cam went to the Super Bowl, but go ahead.
I was in love with this guy, man. Every game, I was like, I couldn't wait. I was like, man, let me turn the Jets off. Turn the Ravens on now. I couldn't wait to see this guy.
You couldn't stay away from the screen in Marvin with Lamar Jackson's MVP year, bro.
Even the fake alternate ones. You know what I'm talking about.
They don't wear. Hey, bro, $50. It's all good.
Yeah. But my thing about this Ravens organization, you should be getting weapons.
Yeah.
You should be doing that. The Ravens, their wide receiving core is disgusting. They remind me of that old Jets mentality with these half-behind receivers. It's really sickening to me. But the Ravens, they need to go after D-Hop. I would say the Bills, that's a player move right there. I think the Bills are going to end up getting him. I think the Bills are like, you know what? We failed in the past. Let's continue to support our guy, Josh Allen. Let's give him confidence. And you bring in a vet like D-Hop. D-Hop knows how to play football. I don't even have to really defend this guy. It speaks for itself. He's played at the highest level consistently. He knows how to play great football. You bring him into a Bills organization and what they have going on with Diggs. Oh, my God. That would be crazy. Being a Jets fan, of course, I don't want to see that crap happen. But I'm saying, if you are a Bills fan,
Sauce Gardner on DeAndre Hopkins will be fun as hell twice a year.
Yeah, you're right. The Bills, this is a power move where they want to still say, hey, Cincinnati, we're not going anywhere. We're coming back for our get back. Hey, Chiefs, you're not just going to think you can walk into this game every year. I think the Bills need to be tough mentally on this and go after D-Hop, especially for a 5th-round draft pick. That's crazy. Oh, my gosh, what happened?
I mean, some people would probably say, so DeAndre Hopkins has been in the league about a decade. I still think he's a top 5 guy. I still think he has the best hands in the league. I still think he's one of the best big catch guys in the league next to like a DK Metcalf, like just to truly put your body on the line. Like I think a guy that's really channeling prime DeAndre Hopkins, and it's kind of been weird going to to Arizona, and I think dealing with an injury that he had being off the field. Mike Williams. You look at Mike Williams for the Chargers, big play type of thing. That's what DeAndre Hopkins is still capable of. And some people might think it's crazy to compare those guys, but just for that big play athleticism, to really putting your body on the line, absolutely you see DeAndre Hopkins doing that. The Ravens would be nice, but they have to sign Lamar. They absolutely have to get Lamar on board, because I don't think you bring DeAndre Hopkins in for Tyler Huntley or whoever the hell is actually going to be the starter for the Ravens. As of today, I don't see Lamar. It doesn't look more likely than not for Lamar Jackson to be a Raven. He turned down a fully guaranteed $133 million deal, which would have paid him around $45 million a year. Dude hasn't finished his last 2 seasons, and they gave you that fully guaranteed. I get you wanted 230. That proves they were $100 million apart in contract talks. But you don't bring D-Hop in to not have Lamar Jackson. You show Lamar Jackson you want him by maybe bringing DeAndre Hopkins in beforehand, but I don't know. Lamar's a priority. Now, it would be a good move. Don't get me wrong. Sign Lamar, bring on D-Hop. I'm totally cool with that. I'd love to see Josh Allen throw the football to DeAndre Hopkins as well, but Stephon Diggs is definitely that one. I don't see D-Hop at any point being a 2 unless D-Hop is like, you know what, been in the league a decade, played my ass off with Houston, worked with Kyler Murray a little bit, wanted to get a lot farther, and I did, and Houston was falling apart. He knows Buffalo was on the come up. Maybe he's willing to take that wide receiver 2 role because they just lost Isaiah McKenzie. They brought in Deontay Hardy from the Saints, which was kind of a lateral move. Deontay Hardy's a burner for sure. I appreciated what he did in New Orleans. Hated to see him go. He was a hell of a punt returner. But would DeAndre Hopkins actually take that wide receiver 2 role? That's just something that I think about when I hear the Bills. If he's willing to, great. Of course it would be awesome. But Stephon Diggs, he's a true one, right? Continues to get better every year. But he does need another target in terms of Josh Allen. Dawson Knox is kind of hit or miss. Isaiah McKenzie and Gabe Davis weren't really those guys. Now you have Gabe Davis there. Bring in a D-Hop. It could be looking attractive. The Raiders, absolutely not. The Patriots, maybe. But again, why are you bringing in DeAndre Hopkins to a Patriots team that's probably not going to be sniffing a Super Bowl for at least the next season, unless they really shock everybody, and then I'll sit here and eat my words. And again, with the Falcons, unless Lamar for some reason goes to the Falcons, and the Falcons want to make a move because they have the second most cap space. I really like the Jesse Bates and the Caden Ellis move, as much as it sucks to say. And they bring in Mike Hughes. Atlanta, their defense might be in the top 10 conversation next year, and it's going to be a long time since we've said that. So Ravens and Bills, yes. The Ravens got to sign Lamar, though. And if D-Hop, which the more that I think about it, again, 10 years into the NFL, if he'll take a number 2 role, and it's not going to be out of the ordinary for Stephon Diggs to have 1,500 yards and DeAndre Hopkins to have 12 or 1,300. We saw the Dallas Cowboys, I think, have 3 wide receivers in CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper, all have 1,000-yard seasons. And that was with Dak Prescott. Now, he throws the ball all around the yard, but I think we would say that, I don't know, maybe some people wouldn't, but I would say that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are going to be better than, I can't even remember the name I just said, but I know I stand on that take. I hate my brain does that sometimes. But all right, we're going to get into to our seconds with AJ. This is episode 13. I've got Jansen Harris from the Just Good Network in studio with me. Make sure to check him out on social. The name has been going through the ticker at the bottom, at Jansen_Harris, at Just Good Network on all social platforms. If you're wanting to get broadcasting training, this is definitely the dude to help you out. He does it worldwide. He does it local. He's in the Atlanta area. Here, he's got the northern accent. He's from up north as well, so he's got that dog in him. No, I'm kidding. You know you're my guy, bro. I had to get a little silly with you for a second, but definitely check out Jansen on all social platforms. Please like the stream, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell so you never miss a post, no matter what it is out there. And also check the QR code. Excuse me. Scan that. It's every bit of our social content. If you can't find it, or if you can't scan it, at the NFL with AJL on all social platforms. Check the link in the social media bio, and that will be where you can find all of our content. And don't forget, we're sponsored by Buy and Sell with AJL for all your social media, for all your real estate needs, worldwide professional real estate needs to buy a home, sell a home, or maybe invest in real estate. Get at them on social, get on that newsletter. Make sure to ask them about the AI to show you a home's specific potential price, how fast it could sell, and how much competition you'll have in the area. Let's keep rolling here, Jansen. And we've got your New York Jets in the news. They are apparently, not apparently, this did happen. Come on now, switch over for me. Is it here? Okay, next one. Sorry, guys, I'm a rookie. I'm an NPC. I'm a bot, if you can't tell. No, I'm kidding. So Elijah Moore was traded to the Browns, and Mecole Hardman was also signed. So let's talk with the Elijah Moore move. Some people said this guy was a little greedy. They didn't like the way he produced after his rookie year. He did request a trade. Apparently, he wasn't a good locker room guy when I asked a lot of close Jets fans that I know. So will this departure affect New York with Alan Lazard coming in? And, of course, he came in ultimately waiting on Aaron Rodgers.
To me, being a Jets fan, I would always hear this about Moore. I'm happy for the guy because he wanted more targets. I don't know if him and Robert Saleh, they weren't connecting. I heard he was a disrespectful guy. But again, I don't really know. I do believe he had issues with Zach Wilson. It was like, yo, our quarterback is trash. I'm not seeing any targets. I think he was probably a direct guy and was like, yo, I'm open. Give me the ball. Or why am I not getting the targets that I'm accustomed to getting? And sometimes it could be a double-edged sword.
Darby, is the audio still messed up? Go ahead, Jansen.
It could definitely be a back and forth thing, Adam. It's really confusing because think about it. Some guys are just direct. Like there's some people I like, but their delivery is just bad in life. Like somebody like, yo, Jansen, you like to gain 20 pounds. Now, you feel me? It just depends how you like to be spoken to.
Yeah,
so
how do you like to be approached?
I could be a hater and say, oh, well, they're a bad locker room this. I don't think he was a bad locker room guy. I just think he was a direct guy, wanted targets, and looked at the situation and said, yo, Zach Wilson is trash, hot trash. He's terrible. Take him out on a Tuesday, terrible. That type of trash. He needs to go, for real. So his thing
That's
is—
funny because my trash runs on Tuesday. That's
place
hilarious.
But New York is where I want to be. So for me, I'm happy to see him go there. And Hardman, I'm happy we got some championship pedigree with the Jets. A guy who, look, he's not the reason why the Chiefs were winning, but he's a guy who can make some big plays. I think it's a smart move, and hopefully they check with Aaron Rodgers before making that move. And I think that's what probably happened. So for me, the Jets are looking at it, and I love what the Jets are doing too. Because the Jets are telling me, you know what the energy they're giving off, Adam?
Thanks,
they're rolling the dice, baby. Let's play the game. They got me believing. Like, oh, my God, we were really about to make this happen. The Jets, this is a gangster move. They're saying, hey, you guys think we're now big and bad? Zach Wilson, we messed up, but this is going to be our transition.
Well, we're ready to fix it.
We're ready to fix it. It's a quick fix. The Jets aren't interested in the draft. They're interested in knocking some heads over when the new year comes. The Jets are basically saying this, Adam, and their translation.
Oh, it's Super Bowl or bust with the Aaron Rodgers move, bro.
We're going to the Super Bowl next year, the year after, because we have a top defense, we have a good running game and wide receivers. That's the language they're speaking. And they're saying, hey, the AFC East is going to be competitive. Miami is good regardless of what happens with Tua. Hopefully, Tua can continue his football career. I wish the best for him. He looked good last year. Miami is a really talented team. The Bills, we know what they are. They've been running the AFC East. But that's forget the conference. That division has a lot of talent there. And like you said, the Patriots, they might not be what they used to be with Tom Brady, but this is a smart organization. They know how to win. They know how to build. Their defense speaks for itself, and they got some weapons too. So the Jets, I love how aggressive this is. And for all the haters out there, and this isn't even just Jets talk. I'm not sitting here saying the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. We won the offseason Super Bowl, which matters to yeah, I know it's pathetic, but it matters. It matters mentally to some of these football fans.
Yeah.
The Jets, they are a team, Adam. I'm telling you that this Aaron Rodgers deal is going to go down. I know this wasn't the question, but every player you see gets signed.
I knew when I brought a Jets fan on and brought up a Jets topic, I had to be ready.
Yeah,
I was flipping my lid for those 4 years that the Saints were looking as good as they were, man. You said New Orleans, and I was spewing at the mouth. You're good, man.
And I'm saying this. Let me say this, and I'll finish with this. I've been running my mouth all day.
It
feels
good,
like
man.
It's been 3
hours. It's a podcast. That's what we do, bro.
I've been running my mouth. This deal, there's haters out there that are saying, oh, the deal hasn't been done yet. It doesn't matter what it is. Every person who signed, this is some LeBron James type of stuff. That's why kudos to Aaron Rodgers for using his power. I love what I'm seeing out of him. Is it a little bit selfish and quote-unquote ballsy? Yes, but it is what it is. He deserves to be that way. How many MVPs has this man won? So back to the point, this is going to happen. And look, New York, everything is bigger. Every time a move happens, whether it's the Knicks, the Yankees, even the Jets, even though they're the younger brothers to the Giants, it's still big. The expectations are going to be high. I'm already going to pre-order my Aaron Rodgers jersey before the trade even happens. That's how official I feel.
Are they on sale yet? Are the Rodgers jerseys on sale yet? Because if they're doing that before it's inked, man, like, I mean, I'm sure there's some out there that are already made, like aftermarket, not of course by the NFL. Yeah. We'll let you do that, man. Well, shoo.
But I'm saying this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You got it.
No, what I'm saying is this. All jokes aside, I think it was a great move for both parties. I just really feel like every move the Jets are making is just like, Aaron, is this okay? Like, they're checking in with him. Like, yo, is this good? Like, and it is what it is, man. Some players in the league, they get to that point like Tom Brady, you call the shots.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You got to know your place a little bit. You got to fold. When the heck have you ever seen the Jets have a pretty good quarterback? I should have worn my Joe Namath jersey today.
Yeah, you should have, bro. That would have been nice.
That's like classic 1968, baby.
That would have showed the true Jets fandom.
That would have showed it.
I already know, man. You're a big fan of the Jets for sure, and I appreciate you you blessing us with all of that there. I do think with Elijah Moore, him being, that locker room type of guy that some players weren't getting along with, and this just kind of goes hand in hand. And maybe the Jets do have some sense, but I think they need to be looking at the bigger picture with Aaron Rodgers because, you had a lot of guys talking about Elijah Moore. Rookie year, Zach Wilson, he had 5 touchdowns and over 500 yards, so that was solid for a wide receiver that I think was taken in the second round and considering the expectations of Zach Wilson. Now, you also look at the year after, which was this year, that just finished, and the numbers didn't look super great. The production did fall off. Now, given it was a Zach Wilson that was busted, and then a Mike White, and then I think Joe Flacco started week 1 or one of the weeks in the NFL season. I can't remember, but it's definitely been quarterbacks that were not the greatest.
Jets could make up their mind.
Right? Yeah, for real. Quarterbacks that definitely weren't going to be great for Elijah Moore to catch the football from. And you also talk about him across, when he requested a trade as well. Some people didn't necessarily like to see that. Now, some fans liked Elijah Moore. I thought when they picked him in the draft, it was great. I said this. I actually said the Jets had won the draft. Or not won the draft, but they had one of the best drafts last year, and they had won a really good draft the year before as well, outside of the Zach Wilson pick. So, you see these things happening, and maybe they picked up, okay, we've worked so hard to get to this point. We got through the Zach Wilson trade, or at least we're looking to do that by getting Aaron Rodgers. Robert Saleh has kind of proven himself. We've got Breece Hall. We've got Sauce Gardner. We've got Garrett Wilson. So we don't want this, kind of younger guy. Maybe his head just isn't on right. We want to send him out. And again, I feel like I'm standing on an island right now. I'm not a fan of the Aaron Rodgers Jets move. Aaron Rodgers has been picky before. We've seen the attitude. We've seen the ego. He was 90% retired going into the darkness. If you're 90% really doing anything in your life at any point, you're almost there. It's going to be coming, right? Unless he just super talked himself out of it. And let's not forget the intention. We got to listen to Aaron Rodgers, bro. The intention is to play for the Jets, and the intention is to play again this season. So I wish the Jets would heed what he's saying. Like, y'all forget he wanted the GM fired in Green Bay?
Yeah.
You know how hard. I mean, I got a Jets fan on the show right now. You guys have worked so hard to get where you're at. The only blemish is really Zach Wilson. The roster looks good. You got Jermaine Johnson. You got DJ Reader. You got Sauce Gardner. Like, you got Tyler Conklin at the tight end position. Not a guy that's going to be crazy, right? But y'all have players. I didn't even get into the big ones, but just some of those names that guys don't know that, yes, they are with the Jets. Y'all worked very hard to get here. You're going to get 2 years at the most out of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has never really kindly played with players that are younger. And if they make mistakes, it's kind of the Tom Brady effect. He's not going to look your way. I've been saying, what happens when Breece Hall potentially fumbles? What happens when Garrett Wilson drops a pass? Any pass, but maybe it's the one that's a really big point in the game. You know, what if Sauce Gardner's just kind of getting cooked and Aaron Rodgers is like, damn, I got to go out there again? I can do it, but I got to go again. I just put up 35 for you. Now we got to go 42. I'm not saying the Jets defense is going to be like that, but these are things we've seen out of Rodgers. He's going from the West Coast to the East Coast. So the furthest away from his homeland, the furthest away from his family, to a savage media. Zach Wilson is getting eaten alive right now for saying that he's going to make Aaron Rodgers got life hell in practice. And just to know that, and I get it, and I'm really repeating everything I said in my short, but I want to keep driving it home because I feel so strongly about it. They worked so hard, and they think Aaron Rodgers is going to be that piece to complete it. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. It's going to look tough, maybe through September and October, and maybe a little bit of November. Maybe y'all are 500 walking into Thanksgiving. That's not going to be super settling for Aaron Rodgers and for Jets fans. But if you clean it up in December and January, how's he going to feel after that season? What happens in the playoffs? Where do y'all go? Do y'all make the playoffs? Aaron Rodgers said going into the darkness, he was 90% retired, and I get it. He's pissed at the Packers. You know, he was told before he went into the darkness, take your time. Take as much time as you want. You can do what you need.
I'll tell you this, Adam. I want to say this.
Yeah, Zach Wilson did say that, Darby. He said, I'm going to make – so it was before Aaron Rodgers got drafted. There was rumors that the Jets were looking to sign a quarterback, and they asked him in the presser, and Zach Wilson said, I'm going to make that dude's life hell in practice every day. And so now they're pulling the receipts on his ass from like 2 months ago because Aaron Rodgers is in the mix. Go ahead, Jansen.
I want to say this, and I know Aaron Rodgers could be a little toxic, but again, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I like personalities when it comes to football. And here's one thing I hate about the NFL nowadays, what I used to see when I was a kid. NFL's trying to make these guys no personality, no jock mentality. I don't like that, man. Aaron Rodgers, is he toxic? Yes, but sometimes you need a little bit of toxicness.
I wouldn't even say toxic. It's just like extra sound. It's just
agency. I wish he would have had a show.
Right. And like he goes on Pat McAfee, you know, Aaron Rodgers does like the spotlight. That's very clear. And I'm loving that we're saying this because if the spotlight is not shining the way Aaron Rodgers wants it to with the Jets in year 1 or year 2, what is he going to do?
I'm saying
you're only going to right now it's saying a 2-year deal. You're only getting 1 for right now. Predicated on how this season goes. If he'll come back for a second one.
But Aaron
Rodgers, you really think these young guys are going to be able to mesh in a 2-year span when a track record shows Aaron Rodgers does not like playing with young and experienced players? That's my biggest holdup. Go ahead, bro.
Here's my thing that people aren't seeing, Adam, that in my, again, I'm not saying this is a guarantee. This is just what I think. I don't think Aaron Rodgers ever respected LaFleur. I don't think he respected
which is so crazy to me.
I think here's my thing. I think Aaron Rodgers looks at him and says, guess what? You're an idiot. You don't call great plays. You're not built to be a head coach in this league. I think Aaron Rodgers,
after back-to-back NFC title games as an MVP, but he doesn't know how to call plays.
Aaron Rodgers, but think about it. Aaron Rodgers, in his head, you know what? He feels like I could have done this with anybody.
Right.
I could have done this with any coach.
Right.
I feel like
and he's
Aaron
never
Rodgers
had a super great defense.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers has more respect for Robert Saleh, and they've had conversations. I think that there's more of a respect level than he has for Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur, Matt LaFleur better watch out when Aaron Rodgers leaves. You better be able to do something without Rodgers because at the end of the day, I'm not saying this is the truth, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't look at him like, you're a Kyle Shanahan, you're an Andy Reid. He don't look at him like he's a genius. Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm the man. And if Green Bay feels like they could kick me out, I'm out of here. So I think a lot of the drama with Aaron Rodgers is that power struggle of saying, hey, I am the reason why you guys are relevant. That's how he feels.
Right.
If he goes to the Jets,
he has an argument for the best Packers quarterback ever. He has an argument for that with one Super Bowl.
Think about the Jets defense. How many times has the Jets defense held teams to 3 and outs, and then they go out there and they watch their offense look like crap or the quarterback look like he doesn't know what he's doing. So Aaron Rodgers sees that, where he's like, I don't have to be perfect over here. I'm going to be the man. I'm a media guy. I like to talk crap. I might get a show and some endorsements off of this because New York is so big. I think he fits in New York. Now, yes, is there a little bit of excitement when you're the Jets? Are we thirsty? Of course we're thirsty. We've never seen quarterbacks like this. The thirst level's high. I'm thirsty right now.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to snag a guy like this. That's how it feels.
I love it. This is very ballsy on both sides. Aaron Rodgers, he is what's great with sports. Why is this? Because I'm so tired of these guys acting like, oh, you have to shut your mouth. You have to be a certain way. Aaron Rodgers is a prick and he knows it. And I like that about him. He should have did a LeBron James and put it on TV. The decision, 8:30, Friday, ESPN. Tune in.
I mean, hell, that's basically what it was. Pat McAfee called it damn Aaron Rodgers Wednesday. And Aaron Rodgers usually comes on Mondays, I'm pretty sure.
Look,
they had
Aaron
500,000 people on that live stream that day, bro.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, man. And I don't care. I know people are going to look at me like, Bill, you're crazy. I like a little sometimes I like these toxic athletes. A little bit of toxic's okay. I like a little personality. You don't have to always do what's best for the company. And you don't have to do what's best for the Packers. He said, you know what? You guys think you can do without me? Good luck. I want to see the Packers get to the playoffs. I want to see without him. Good luck with that.
Lot of hype for Jordan Love right now too. A lot of Jordan Love lovers are kind of funny to say that, but those guys are coming out, and Jordan Love's always had a lot of support, ironically, in the NFL from, he's got fans out there. I mean, every player does, right? But there's been conversations that we've heard in media like, oh, Jordan Love is ready. Maybe he can play. I haven't looked too far in. I don't think it's going to be, super attractive for a couple years. And now LaFleur is going to have a new quarterback. You're really going to have to change the system. Can he pick up on those, quick reaction plays? I mean, Aaron Rodgers can throw from any angle. When is he not throwing off his back foot? It feels like, right? That is something major to take advantage of. When you lose that and you fall to a Jordan Love, it's going to feel a little shaky there for a while. Just like I feel like the first 8 weeks of the Jets season with Aaron Rodgers is probably not going to look sexy. It's going to take them a minute. They're probably going to have to go into the bye week. Aaron Rodgers is really going to have to mesh with these guys. Like it's going to take time, it's really going to be a thing. Darby says Packers want the 13th pick, which is why it's taken so long. Yeah. And that's another thing I said. You cannot give up a first round pick knowing how well they have drafted, knowing the talent that is coming up in this draft, and Aaron Rodgers play 1 year. Because
I don't know why the Packers think they have the leverage. He doesn't want to go back.
Right. And he's already said that, but here's the thing. So with them having the 13th pick, I really already said that, excuse me. Aaron Rodgers, if he only plays 1 year and they give up a first rounder, that's horrible. If they give up 2 first rounders, they're fleeced, bro. I think it should be a second round pick and maybe a third rounder or a second round pick and a player. And that's not to disrespect A-Rod, but knowing the situation that you're in and knowing how he actually has performed in some of these playoff games, and sometimes it hasn't been that defense, and knowing that he could be, I mean, he's on the back 9. He's playing the last 2 holes of his career. Literally. He's got this year and next. And I was nice. I said, look, if I'm a Jets fan, it's Super Bowl or bust. I want to see a Super Bowl appearance this year, if not a win. And next year, I want to see the same thing or at least an AFC title game. I don't know if I can really expect, and I'm not a Jets fan, Jansen is. I don't know if I can really expect that. So having all said, all that, first-round picks are very valuable. He's first-round talent for sure, but considering the situation and what you have coming up, and again, how hard they've worked, it's really, really tough. In my opinion, second-round pick is all I'd give. And see, sometimes that feels fair. Maybe it's a second-round pick and a solid player. I mean, they could have packaged Elijah Moore. I think that would have been smart. But Elijah Moore goes to the Browns, which I think is going to be good for, Cleveland. I'm actually a lot higher on Cleveland than most people think. And I didn't think it'll be a nice target for Deshaun Watson as well. We didn't really talk about Mecole. I know you did a little bit. I've been a fan of Mecole. Hardman says he's been at Georgia, and then we'll move off this topic, hit a sponsor break, and then we'll hit the last couple topics of the show. So the Jets signed Mecole Hardman to a 1-year deal. And, the question I was really looking at is, will this speedster receiver now, not now, he's been a speedster, but is he going to reach a new level of his career potentially with Aaron Rodgers? And I really think he could. Mecole Hardman's been a guy that's been a Blazer. We saw him at Georgia. When the Chiefs drafted him, I was like, oh, of course. They get Mecole Hardman, one of the fastest dudes in the draft next to Tyreek Hill, but he was never utilized very well. I mean, he had some 500, 600-yard seasons, but there was concerns that he couldn't run routes well, that he didn't have the best hands. And I don't 100% agree with that. Every receiver can slip. He wasn't the sharpest route runner, and he did have some drops, but he was touted the way he was at Georgia. And that's why, or touted the way he was because of how he played at Georgia. And then when the Chiefs drafted him, like you clearly knew why they took him, because he was a speedster. He was a downfield threat. Now you're going to have Garrett Wilson. I wish they still had Elijah Moore. And now you're going to have Alan Lazard, and then you're going to have Mecole Hardman. That's, I mean, dang, man. That feels really good. For Aaron Rodgers to have a speedster like that, to have a really crisp route runner like Garrett Wilson, and then to also have a Alan Lazard who he is very comfortable with, Aaron Rodgers could have some fun. He could have a heyday. And I said he's probably going to throw for about, I could see a 4,500 yard, 35 touchdown season this year, considering those receivers he's going to have. But I'm a fan of the Mecole Hardman signing. Some people say it is just another guy if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come over, which is true because he just had Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Now, obviously, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill take a lot of targets away from you. But even then, I feel like he should have been used a lot more with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he wasn't. And that just really confused me. This is a guy that can take it off the top. It's kind of had like a Tyreek Hill light or a 2.0, on the opposite side of the field as him. He could have played in the slot. You got Patrick Mahomes, who's the best quarterback in the league, who can make any throw. He's got a huge arm. And you have Andy Reid who calls amazing plays. And Mecole Hardman couldn't even get to a 900 or 1,000-yard season. I think he's a guy that could go for 1,000 yards and close to 10 touchdowns. I really do, because of the way his skill set can be used. And I hope and pray that the Jets see that. That's why they brought him in. The Chiefs were not anywhere near interested in bringing Mecole Hardman back, and that kind of showed that, they just didn't value him highly in their system. So it could look good. It could look really good for Aaron Rodgers. Going to hit one more sponsor break, and then we're going to roll into the last few topics of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all as always for being here on the NFL with AJL. We are live on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Please make sure you like the stream, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell so you never miss a post. Get at me at the NFL with AJL on all social platforms. Click the link in the bio and you'll find every bit of our content. If you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough. Review us, please, on social media, on podcast platforms, wherever you get your shows. If I'm not somewhere on podcast platforms, definitely let me know and I'll get the show on there. All right. So now Magic Johnson is apparently entering the bid to purchase the Washington Commanders. And I'm kind of a fan of this move, man. Jeff Bezos was in. I know this feels kind of weird to talk about, but I got some good traction from it on YouTube. And honestly, it's just a really interesting topic because we've wanted the Commanders to get sold for a while when they were the Redskins, when they were the football team. Dan Snyder, though, is now finally cleaning out his office. Magic Johnson enters the bid. You got another Canadian billionaire entering the bid. Josh Harris, who has his hands in the Sixers, the NBA team for Philadelphia, and also the New Jersey Nets, which is the hockey team, is in the bid as well. So you got three big-time guys looking to go in on this football team that has wanted to be sold for a long time. Knowing that Magic was so tied up in the Lakers organization, I think he was the director of basketball operations, and he stepped down. Would you like to see Magic take a position of this stature at this point in his career, and also just knowing how the Commanders really need a change of ownership?
I believe so. I think it's a good thing. It's always great to have different faces. It's always great for them. The Commanders should have been moved on, but it's a little bit complicated with owners and forcing sales, and it's a little bit different. But to me, I love to just see new faces there. I like to see a cultural change. And I think with Magic Johnson, he always brings a lot of energy. He's a heck of a businessman.
Yes,
he was a heck of a basketball player. And most people say that Magic's a good dude, good guy, great energy. Would love to see him around the NFL, around the Commanders. I think it's great and it's solid. I think it's going to happen too.
I would love for it to happen, honestly. I believe this would be my favorite person to actually take control over the Commanders. I think it would have been nice for Bezos. I mean, clearly he built Amazon into what it is. Of course, an NFL team is not going to be any ordinary business, but if you know how to market, if you know how to get the right guys in there, if you know how to get your people on social media, and I'm not saying I'm a GM, I'm not saying I'm an owner, but I do own a small business, and knowing what it takes to actually promote those things, you can take that to the very top. It's just scaling. Every business just scales. Bezos did that. Magic Johnson's clearly had a great career on the court, off the court, whether people want to say he has or hasn't. He's clearly an icon, not only in the basketball game, but in the sports world as well. I don't know too much about the Canadian billionaire. His name is Steve Apostopoulos, I believe. He's in the mix, though. Canadian billionaire, I mean, need I say more? Clearly, he's got the money to do it. And then with Josh Harris, too, having his hands in the Sixers and in the Devils feels nice because he's been around the NBA. He's been around the NHL, and now him getting that chance to come over into the NFL and potentially get a piece of this steak as well. He's shown that he's able to run these things and not necessarily doing it at multiple times because, of course, it's, some stake here, some stake there, and he does have responsibilities. But, seeing Magic, so getting to the point of Magic, just kind of going through the candidates, of course, at, how they would be able to take advantage of it. Seeing Magic at this position, at this point in his life, taking this stature, I think it would be nice. I really do, because Magic Johnson, we saw what he did with the Lakers. We saw what he meant to the Lakers. We've seen what type of businessman he can be. I think he would be a good face as an owner. It would bring a lot of familiarity. I think the fan base, as much as some people might say, "Oh God, Magic Johnson owns us," oh, we're going to jump ship, right? Well, at the same time, probably the same amount of fans are going to jump on. And I'm not here to debate those numbers, but fans jump on and jump off whenever hands change, ownership and players or whatever the case may be. But knowing that Washington should have been sold for a while now, there was firms that were hired to investigate. There were, instances with, honorary events on the field that weren't necessarily handled correctly. Dan Snyder himself is just unfortunately not and has never really put on a great image, so that doesn't help with the case either. And people talk about this team maybe being the worst ran team in the NFL. They have the wins, for sure, and they've got the defense. But as far as the actual ownership and Dan Snyder, well, maybe not the worst ran team in the NFL, but definitely probably the most hated owner in the NFL. I mean, we remember when Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers from Donald Sterling. And Donald Sterling was literally labeled and primed as a racist for every interaction people had with him. And that's just, again, whether it was the image he made for him or what the media did, that was how people remembered him. So when he, sold the Clippers to Steve Ballmer, it kind of felt like an uplift. With the Commanders having these players come around, if they can somehow get a really sneaky quarterback move or whatever the case is to get them solidified at that quarterback position, and then they get sold to a guy that I can feel like really lift this team up based on just what he's done in his tenure, in the sports world, I would be a fan of it. And if I was a Washington Commanders fan, I feel like I would want Magic Johnson to buy this team. Again, I know he's been with the NBA. He's never owned, I believe, a team like this. Or you look at Josh Harris, like I said, owns the NBA Sixers a little bit, owns a little bit of the New Jersey Devils, who's the hockey team, obviously another NBA team. So getting his hands in the NFL, he's a seasoned investor. He's a veteran. So if it wasn't Magic, I'd probably go for Josh Harris. But I thought that was really interesting to see, out of all people, Magic Johnson actually come into this bid and excuse me, really be able to take hold. Now, we know Ezekiel Elliott was cut. This will be the last topic on the show before we get out of here. Ezekiel Elliott was cut in NFL free agency by those Dallas Cowboys, but now he is deciding between three NFL teams: your New York Jets, Jansen, the Cincinnati Bengals that were just in the AFC title game, and the Super Bowl runner-ups in the Philadelphia Eagles. Where is the best fit for Ezekiel Elliott?
I think he should either go to the Bengals or the Eagles, in my opinion. You got to go to me, those are the better teams right now. I'm just keeping it real. Jets fan, yes, but let's be real. Eagles just were in the Super Bowl. Why not? Why not get your payback a little bit? Yeah. You wanted to be a Cowboy for life. Why don't you go to the Eagles? Show people you could still play. Show people you're not washed up.
Oh, you got me in on that one.
Yeah. Or you could go to Cincinnati. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Joe Burrow. The passing game is there. Joe Mixon, he's no bum. He's really good. I would love to see that one too. So for me, it's either the Eagles or it's the Bengals. Either way, Zeke will be going to the playoffs. And you go to any one of those three teams, he's going to the playoffs, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So to me, Zeke should be happy, actually. But it'll be funny to see him go to the Eagles.
Yeah, that would be the true ultimate payback, like sticking it to Jerry Jones. What if both times that they played the Eagles, he's running for, God knows, 150, 200 yards? That would be crazy to see that for Zeke Elliott. But yeah, knowing that you got the Jets, you got the Bengals, you got the Eagles on the table for him, the best fit, it's either going to be between the Bengals or the Eagles, like you said as well. The Jets would also be nice. I mean, he's narrowed it down to three, pretty nice teams, and clearly he knows what he's doing. He's in this league. He wants to get to a Super Bowl. We kind of set the standard, unfortunately, for running backs not getting a big payday anymore. And he fell off after he got the bag, after being a two-time rushing champ, after holding out, after being in Cabo and really making the fans sweat. He knew Jerry Jones had the money. And as Jerry Jones did with Ezekiel Elliott, as Jerry Jones did with Dak Prescott, he paid the money. and now he didn't produce, so he was let go. So knowing that Zeke, what he had all in the tank, what he was able to do, I don't believe he is really maybe even 85% of what he used to be. I mean, I feel like he might get a 75% Zeke at best. And that's because this guy ran in between the tackles, right? That's because he was literally being a bulldozer through the NFL, through that offensive line, going through the trenches, with defensive linemen, with the Aaron Donalds and the TJ Watts and the linebackers in the league. Like, he took a absolute pummeling at the position. And we know that's why linebackers, we say they're disposable, which of course they are, which is unfortunate because it's tough to be a good running back in this league. I think I might have said linebackers. Running back. It's tough to be a good running back in this league. And, seeing what happened with Zeke, it's unfortunate because he was a great back coming out of college. I mean, he was an absolute monster, seeing what he did early in the NFL. So it would be good with the Jets. They have a running back one in Breece Hall, but he did unfortunately have that mishap with the injury that took him out for the season. So Zeke, I feel like now is that running back 2 role. That wouldn't look bad with Aaron Rodgers, with all the talent that's going over to the Jets. That would really feel like okay, they're loading up like the Rams did, like the Bucs did, like my Saints did over 4 years. Like, they're going all in for the Super Bowl push. The Bengals would be a no-brainer as well. Being a running back 2 behind Joe Mixon would be great. Joe Mixon has kind of, he hasn't really fallen off, but I hear some Bengals fans saying that they want a little bit of a secondary option there for Joe Mixon when he does have some of those when he does have some of those potential injury-prone moments in the season. And then the Eagles, of course, that I'm really on board with you on that one, Jansen. Being, in the NFC East, combating the Cowboys, really sticking it to Jerry Jones, which he can't be mad at Jerry Jones. Again, that's where I started the whole point is you can't be mad, not even at Jerry Jones, but at the team because they paid you well and you fell off. Going to the Eagles, knowing that they lost Miles Sanders, you've got a Boston Scott, you've got a Kenneth Gainwell, which I'm a big fan of Kenny Gainwell, and he can actually produce pretty well when he's given the opportunities. And I think we saw that in his rookie year. So that would be another solid fit as well. If I really had to pick one, though, as a best fit for Ezekiel Elliott, I feel like I got to go Eagles because of the offensive line and because they just lost Miles Sanders. But then you also look with the Bengals O-line, not super great. Zeke has been behind a great O-line his whole career. And then you also look with the Jets, that O-line was all right. I feel like I actually don't know the numbers specifically. So if we're just sticking to offensive line, it's definitely going to be the Eagles for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude episode 13 of the NFL with AJL. Jansen Harris was with me in studio tonight. He is the CEO of the Just Good Network, multiple podcasts. But I want to let you tell the people, man, as we get out of here, where can they find you? What are you doing lately? And what are you about, man?
Look, every social media platform, if you guys want to follow me personally, Jansen Harris, we're dropping content. We're going to start dropping some old school stuff coming out. But look, justgoodnetwork.com. I don't care if you're in entertainment, you're into movies, whatever you're into. Just don't get too freaky. Whatever you're into, sports. If you want to start a podcast, you want to broadcast better, get some confidence. I don't care what you want to talk about. You talk about the grass, the pool, whatever. Justgoodnetwork.com. Just Good Network, Instagram, Twitter. Come on, let's go talk. But I want to say this before I get up out of here. Adam, thank you for having me on, man. It feels like the old days. It feels like Wade and LeBron playing. It feels good, man. I had a blast. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Adam's that guy. Pull up the film. 5 years from now, coming for that check.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Like I said in the beginning, true OG here in Jansen Harris. If you've been with me since the What Off season days, before I changed the logo to look better, not the logo that I have now, Jansen was there. And when I stepped away from petty sports to take a break from podcasting, Jansen told me, hey, man, Michael Jordan retired twice and came back. He won 3 chips, left, came back and won 3 more. And that was seriously something I held in my head, man. And just having you on the show tonight, that was something I really replayed all the time when I was thinking about getting back in. So I appreciate you for giving me my flowers. I've always given you yours. I'm grateful that we were able to cross paths at the broadcasting school. You're always welcome. Guy, as it says right there in the ticker, there you go, at Just Good Network, at Jansen_Harris, justgoodnetwork.com. Before we get out of here, please like the stream, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell on YouTube. You'll never miss a post. At the NFL with AJL on all platforms. Hit the link in that bio. It's every bit of content that we've got. Please leave us a review on podcast platforms. If you can't find us, if you can't find me, you're simply not looking hard enough. Buy and Sell with AJL, of course, was the great sponsor for the show. Buying a home, selling a home, investing in a home. Get at them on social media. Episode 14 will be live on Tuesday. Don't know what day of March that is, but it will be 7 p.m. Eastern time. Hoping to have another guest. This has been the NFL with AJL episode 13 with Jansen Harris, and we are